Hello friends. In this video we are going to continue the different concepts which are related to the chapter of national income accounting. In fact, in the different videos we have covered the different topics. Like in the last video we have covered like what exactly intermediate goods are. We have covered what exactly the final goods are and what are the types of final goods. Like we have discussed the one of the final good which is known as consumer good. We have discussed one of the final good which is known as capital goods. So these are different concepts which we have discussed along with their examples. We have discussed what is nominal national income. We have discussed what is real national income. We have discussed what are stock variables, flow variables. We have discussed different concepts on the chapter of national income accounting. Now in this video we are going to continue few more concepts that are being connected. So in the last class, when we are discussing the concept of intermediate goods and final goods, I have told that intermediate goods are a such kind of goods that are being used to make another good. But in the process of making another good, this good loses its identity. I have taken the example of wheat flour. When it's being converted to bread, wheat flour loses its identity. That is why we call the wheat flour as intermediate good. Now when once we have done, I have told that final goods are such kind of goods that are consumed finally, and all those final goods that are consumed finally, they are known as like the consumer goods. And we have one more like the part of final goods, that is final goods are such kind of goods that are being used to make another goods, but in the process they don't lose their identity. So such final goods which doesn't lose their identity, they are referred as in fact capital goods అనేది మనం డిస్కషన్ చేయడం జరిగింది. Now let us understand. అయితే క్యాపిటల్ గూడ్స్ డెఫినేషన్లో మనం ఏం డిస్కస్ చేసామంటే ఈ గూడ్స్ వాళ్ళ యొక్క ఐడెంటిటీ లూజ్ అవ్వదు అని డిస్కషన్ చేసాం. కానీ ఇంటర్మీడియట్ గూడ్స్ మాత్రం వాళ్ళ ఐడెంటిటీ లూజ్ అవుతుంది. అయితే క్యాపిటల్ గూడ్స్ వాటి యొక్క ఐడెంటిటీ లూజ్ అవ్వకపోవడం అనేది నా జనరల్లీ ఇట్ హ్యాపెన్స్ ఇన్ ద షార్ట్ టర్మ్. సో ఆ షార్ట్ టర్మ్లో ఆ యొక్క క్యాపిటల్ గూడ్స్ యొక్క ఐడెంటిటీ లూజ్ అవ్వదు. బట్ ఇన్ ద లాంగ్ రన్ ఇన్ ఫ్యాక్ట్ వాట్ ఎవర్ ద క్యాపిటల్ గూడ్స్ ఏదైతే ఉన్నాయో దే లూజెస్ దేర్ ఐడెంటిటీ. Now that is where we can call it as in the long term or in the long run this capital good, like we have the machines, we have the buildings, we have the different machinery. So over a period of time lo it loses its identity. For example morning class ki you have come to the class through like the uber services use చేసుకుని వచ్చాం, and in the evening also you have used the same uber services to return to your home. So it means like we can call this uber car as the capital good because it is being used to provide services. సో మార్నింగ్ వచ్చినప్పుడు ఏ విధంగా అయితే ఉందో ఈవినింగ్ టైంలో కూడా ఇట్ డజంట్ లూజన్ ఇట్స్ ఐడెంటిటీ. బట్ ఇఫ్ యూ టేక్ ఆఫ్టర్ 1 year or after 10 years, now over a period of time this uber car which you have used for coming to the class and return to the homes, ఈ యొక్క ఊబర్ కార్ అనేది ఇట్ లూజెస్ ఇట్స్ ఐడెంటిటీ. నౌ దట్ ఈస్ వేర్ we are going to discuss one important concept, that is like which is connected to losing the identity of capital goods in the long run. Now we used to call this concept as depreciation of fixed capital. Now we are going to discuss the concept of depreciation of fixed capital. Now for the first time I have used like whatever the term capital which I have used in the 4 factors of production, whatever the term which I have used in capital goods, the same capital I am referring to, but I have used the term fixed before the capital. We will discuss why I have used the term fixed. Now what is the concept of depreciation of fixed capital? So depreciation of fixed capital, it simply refers to the gradual loss in the value of capital goods due to reasons like normal wear and tear, obsolescence, etc. So what is depreciation of fixed capital? It means like the gradual loss in the value of capital goods, which means like the capital goods which is one of the final good is losing its value. Why it is losing its value? Due to reasons like normal wear and tear. విచ్ మీన్స్ లైక్ అదే ఊబర్ కారు ప్రతిరోజు యూజ్ చేసే కొంది నౌ ఇట్ లూజెస్ ఇట్స్ వాల్యూ, ఆర్ ద క్యాపిటల్ గూడ్ ఆల్సో లూజెస్ ఇట్స్ వాల్యూ డ్యూ టు రీజన్స్ లైక్ అబ్జోలిజెన్స్. అబ్జోలిజెన్స్ అంటే ఓవర్ ఏ పీరియడ్ ఆఫ్ టైం తర్వాత నౌ దిస్ క్యాపిటల్ గూడ్ బికమ్స్ లైక్ యూజ్లెస్ ఆర్ నో మోర్ యూస్ఫుల్ అనేది జరుగుతుంది. Now, why the capital good becomes useless over a period, over a period? Because one of the major reasons why the capital good becomes obsolete, because one of the major reason is like the technological change. ఎందుకు ఒకటి అవుట్డేటెడ్ అయిపోతుంది? వన్ ఆఫ్ ద రీజన్ ఏంటంటే టెక్నాలజికల్ చేంజ్. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్, ఇప్పుడు మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద కార్స్ ఆర్ రన్నింగ్ త్రూ డీజిల్. నౌ ఆఫ్టర్ 10 years we can say like the diesel cars are obsolete. Obsolete means it becomes useless 10 years tarvata, outdated. Why? Because of the technological change, which means like now the most of the cars starts producing the cars which is being run through electricity, like the electrical vehicles vastai compared to the diesels. That is why, so it technological change valla now the Uber car loses its value, so which is being run through diesel. So this concept is referred as depreciation. So what is depreciation? Depreciation means like the capital good is losing its value due to certain reasons like daily usage or due to certain technological change. This is known as depreciation of fixed capital. Now, so in the economy we know that depreciation anedi it is reality. So for if you look at, if you take any firm, now the happening of depreciation is reality. Now that is where if we want to be a good national income accountant, so we should consider the value which is losing in the form of depreciation. Because what is national income? National income is defined as the total money value of all final goods, and one of the final good which is capital good is losing its value in the economy. That is where being the good national income accountant, what we has to do is like we has to ignore, or we has to deduct the depreciation which is happening for the final good. That is where that is where national income is of two types, based on whether we consider the depreciation or not. Now the first type of national income is referred as gross national income. Now we used to call it as GNI. We have discussed nominal national income based on money value and real national income. Now this is gross national income. Now what is gross national income? Gross national income means it is such a kind of national income where we ignore the depreciation, or it doesn't adjust to depreciation, which means like, so even though depreciation is happening in the economy, that is loss is happening, but we just ignore, like we have the attitude of we don't care. So that is the point of gross national income. So gross national income ignores the depreciation of fixed capital, or gross national income doesn't take into consideration with regards to the depreciation. But we have one more type of national income which is known as net national income. Now what is this net national income? So net national income simply refers to like this is such a kind of national income where when we calculate net national income we consider the depreciation, or we adjust to depreciation in net national income. That is where net national income is simply the deduction of depreciation kabatti gross national income nunchi if we deduct the depreciation of fixed capital, then the net national income can be arrived. So this is the point. So when we have discussed nominal national income and real national income, దాని డిస్కస్ చేసామంటే రియల్ నేషనల్ ఇన్కమ్ ఈజ్ ద బెస్ట్ మెథడ్ కంపేర్డ్ టు నామినల్. Similarly, compared to gross and net, it is the net national income which is considered to be the best measure out of two, because we are deducting the depreciated value which is happening in the economy, which is the reality thing. So this is the point which we have to keep in mind. So even though net national income is considered to be the best measure of national income, but not only in India, across the world, most of the economies they calculate the gross national income only. They provide mostly the figures of GNI. The reason why most of the countries follow gross national income, because so understanding the concept of depreciation is easy. అంటే డిప్రిసియేషన్ అంటే లాస్ అవ్వడం వాల్యూ అనేది అర్థం చేసుకోవడం ఈజీ. కానీ ఇప్పుడు ఒక ఊబర్ డ్రైవర్ని ఈరోజు నీ యొక్క కార్ ఎంత డిప్రిసియేటెడ్ అయింది చెప్పమంటే ఇట్ బికమ్స్ డిఫికల్ట్. సో అండర్స్టాండింగ్ ద డిప్రిసియేషన్ ఈజ్ ఈజీ. సో బట్ calculating the depreciated value within the firm becomes difficult. అందువల్ల ఈ డిప్రిసియేషన్ మనం డిడక్ట్ చేయడం కష్టం కాబట్టి మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద కంట్రీ స్టార్ట్స్ ప్రొవైడింగ్ ద గ్రాస్ నేషనల్ ఇన్కమ్ వాల్యూనే మనకు ఇవ్వడం జరుగుతూ ఉంటుంది. బట్ ఈవెన్ దో మనకి ఈ డిప్రిసియేటెడ్ సెషన్ని మనం క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేయడం డిఫికల్ట్ అయినా, బట్ వీ హ్యావ్ వన్ మోర్ కాన్సెప్ట్ which is a substitute for depreciation of fixed capital, which is known as provision for depreciation. So provision for depreciation అనే కాన్సెప్ట్ మనకు ఉంది. Now what is this provision for depreciation? So provision for depreciation అంటే మనకు బేసిక్గా సో it simply refers to firms keeping like the firms keeping aside a part of capital value. So firms keeping aside a part of capital value so that the new capital can be bought after their complete depreciation. So అంటే firms keeping aside a part of capital value అంటే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఒక ఊబర్ డ్రైవర్ ఉన్నాడు, he has bought the car and he starts providing the services. So this man knows that okay ఒక 10 years తర్వాత ఈ ఊబర్ కార్ కంప్లీట్గా it gets depreciated. So what he will do, so every year he might keep 1 lakh rupees in its account. సో ఇప్పుడు ఆ ఊబర్ డ్రైవర్ మనం ఎంత వాల్యూ డిప్రిషియేట్ అవుతుంది అని చెప్పేదానికన్నా ఆఫ్టర్ 10 years సో కార్ ఎట్లా డిప్రిషియేట్ అవుతుంది కాబట్టి ప్రతి ఇయర్ 1 lakh తన అకౌంట్లో సేవ్ చేసుకున్నాడు. సో అలా ప్రతి ఇయర్ 1 lakh ఇట్ బికమ్స్ 10 lakhs, దెన్ హీ క్యాన్ బై ద న్యూ క్యాపిటల్. సో ప్రొవిజన్ ఫర్ డిప్రిసియేషన్ అంటే ఫర్మ్స్ కీపింగ్ ఎసైడ్ ఏ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ క్యాపిటల్ వాల్యూ, ఎంతో కొంత కొత్త క్యాపిటల్ బై చేసుకోవడానికి ప్రతి ఇయర్ ఎంత సైడ్ చేస్తూ ఉంటారు. నౌ వీ క్యాన్ క్యాలిక్యులేట్ దిస్ ప్రొవిజన్ ఫర్ డిప్రిసియేషన్. సో అదే నెట్ నేషనల్ ఇన్కమ్లో మనం జనరల్గా ఎకానమిస్ట్ యూస్ చేస్తూ ఉంటారు. సో దిస్ ఈస్ ద పాయింట్ విచ్ వీ హ్యాస్ టు కీప్ ఇన్ మైండ్. సో డిప్రిసియేషన్ క్యాలిక్యులేషన్ ఈస్ డిఫికల్ట్, but a substitute or proxy to depreciation of fixed capital that is being generally used, which is known as a provision for depreciation. So these are certain concepts which we has to understand with regards to like gross national income, net national income, provision for the depreciation of fixed capital. One point which we has to understand is like depreciation of fixed capital is also known as consumption of fixed capital. When I use the term consumption, it is not the consumption which we generally use. Consumption means like the gradual loss. Gradual loss of the fixed capital is it can be referred as consumption of fixed capital also. Thank you.